Anyway, I've only done acid maybe 4 or 5 times tops. I stopped after this incident, and it still gives me anxiety to this day. And I have to preface everything by saying I shouldn't have ever done it in the first place. I was untreated for depression and my anxiety. I was like completely untreated, and I know they don't really recommend that if you're someone who's prone to anxiety, because acid, really, it's not automatically going to make you feel good. What it is going to do is amplify whatever is already going on in your mind. So, you know, if you're having negative thoughts, then that's what your trip is probably gonna end up being. So it was 4th of July, and I was in a really good mood, and everything was going just swell up until it wasn't. We took the acid early in the day. I want to say like 11 or noon. So me and a bunch of friends, we all grouped up. There were sober drivers, don't worry. No one drove on acid, because that is how people die. So we all, sorry, I lose my train of thought all the time. Oh yeah, so we packed up a bunch of stuff, some food, some beer, some just bullshit little fireworks and smoke bombs and stuff like that, and we went to this lake, and the lake had this little island on it. It was very, very small, probably big enough for one party of people, and somehow on 4th of July we were the people that ended up there, and no one bothered us, which to me is insane, at least as far as I remember, because at this point I was fully into the trip and going a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? So everything was going great at first. Like, I was having a good time. We set up a hammock. We were listening to music, and I was just chilling, having a good time, laughing and all that jazz, rolling around in the dirt. I don't know if anyone else has this experience when they do acid, but like, I always lay on the ground, or I always have historically laid on the ground and like rolled around. I don't know why, but every time I've done acid and then I come down, I'm just dirty head to toe. So we're having like a really good time. We stay there for a few hours. Then I start to come down, and if you've ever done acid, you know what that feels like. You know, your visuals calm down and your brain kind of feels like mush, but you can tell that, you know, the peak of the trip is ended and you're coming down. So that's what's happening to me on the car ride home. I'm like coming down, I'm like, ah, that was fun, that was great, like, now I can go enjoy the fireworks, not tripping balls and freaking out. Now I can just go watch them and like not be hallucinating. Sounds good. Then we get to a gas station back in my neighborhood, and the lake was about 40 minutes from like our neighborhood where we lived. I'm looking out the window. It's getting dark at this point, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I am just full-blown, full swing, just tripping balls again, like peak trip, like crazy visuals, everything's moving, everything's breathing, like it was so bizarre. And that really freaked me out, and I didn't tell anyone, because again, like when you're on acid, you just act kind of weird, and like if something's not feeling right, you really just keep it to yourself. And my friend's boyfriend kept turning around and asking me like, are you okay? Are you sure? Is you good? And like that freaked me out more, because I was like, great, it's like obvious that I'm losing my shit over here. So that was really terrible. At this point, I'm trying to remain calm and see if it will stop. So we stop at another friend's house to pick them up, and then we're all gonna go to the fireworks. This is where things got really bad, and I almost went to the hospital because, I don't know, ask anyone, like when their trip starts going bad, everyone's like, I need to go to the hospital. I mean, I guess if you're an amateur like me. So I step out of the car for a minute because we were like chatting with their other roommate or whatever, and everything suddenly looks 2D. So like, let me take this record. So like, if you look at it this way and then you angle it, imagine that but with real people. So like, they look like this, and if it just looked like a piece of paper with like people printed on it. I start instantly panicking. And then our friend who was joining us to go to the fireworks thought it'd be really funny to come up to me and be like, Emily, you have to walk home, you can't be here. And in my lost brain that's on another planet, it's like, I don't think I could even find my way home. I start walking and they're like, oh my god, no, like, you don't actually have to walk home. We get back in the car, we're about to go to the fireworks, and at this point I'm like, guys, I don't think I can go, you need to take me home. So they take me home. And a living hell began. Quite literally, a living hell. My sister and her friend were in the living room, and I just like round the corner and I was like, I'm having a bad trip, I'm gonna go lay down. And they like looked sketched out and they were like, whatever. So I go and I lay down in my head to toe filthy clothes, just like writhing in my bed. At one point it looked like there was a light flashing and rotating like really fast, like on my walls, and I have a lot of stuff up on my walls and everything was just moving. It was like overwhelming to keep my eyes open. But then when I shut them, I had visuals that were crazy and made me feel like I was like going into another plane of existence. So at this point I'm thinking this was some whack acid, like this was fake, and this is like a chemical that was made in some lab and it's not like real acid, and so on and so forth. So the trip just never ended. Now, a lot of the time when you hear a story about a trip going badly, it's people seeing like demons or like really like bad images. For me, it was the fact that it wouldn't end, and I thought it would never end. It literally was like I was so trapped, because every time I'd start to come down a little bit again, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try to relax and listen to some music. The music would be all like, and it would be all like warped. And I was like, it's still not over. Then a couple hours later, it calms down again. I'm like, I'm gonna go watch a movie to get my mind off it. The movie looks totally normal at the beginning, and then all of a sudden their faces start like moving and looking really weird. So I'm convinced. I'm like, this is never going to end. And again, because the acid brain is weird, I didn't like reach out to anybody. I didn't reach out to any friends, even though I probably couldn't have texted because my visuals were so crazy. But like, I had a boyfriend at the time. I totally could have been like, hey, can you come support me because I'm losing my actual shit. But I didn't. I just waited it out. Finally, at 10 a.m. the next day, it stops. Or so I'm pretty sure. That whole day, I'm just like panicked. And I went to work right after this, off like an hour of sleep. And I'm just sketched out at work. I'm like looking at everything really closely. I'm like, is anything moving? Like, am I still having visuals? And I'm just like, my brain is mush and I'm having a really hard time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't hear a ton of experiences like that from people who tell me they've had bad trips. And a lot of the time when I tell the story, people are like, yeah, that's like really weird. I've never had someone who does lots of acid tell me, oh, what you experienced was normal and happens to a lot of people, in my experience. So yeah, it was super weird. If you ever want to try LSD, make sure you're really safe and with people you trust, and don't be untreated, mentally ill, would be my suggestion. So yeah.